When people talk about the UK housing market, they usually focus on average house prices. But average prices only tell part of the story. A county might have expensive homes but very few transactions. Another might have lower prices yet generate vastly more money every year. Today, instead of following prices, we're going to follow the money. Using millions of UK property transactions, let's see where the UK's property wealth is actually concentrated. This is where the market begins to separate. On the horizontal axis, we have the average property price. On the vertical, it's the number of property sales. And the size of each bubble represents the total value of property changing hands. Immediately, one county dominates everything: Greater London. Not only does it have the highest average prices in this comparison, it also records by far the highest number of transactions, and that's a rare combination. Most places either have high prices or high sales volumes, but London has both. Now, if you look at Surrey, average prices are extremely high, but sales volumes are only a fraction of London's. Buckinghamshire and Hertfordshire tell a similar story. High value markets, but much smaller. Now compare that with Greater Manchester or the West Midlands. Average prices are much lower, yet transaction numbers are remarkably strong. And this is the first lesson. Property wealth isn't driven by price alone. It's the combination of price and activity that creates truly enormous markets. Now let's ignore transaction volumes completely. The graph simply ranks counties by average property size. Greater London sits comfortably at the top. Behind it are Windsor and Maidenhead, Surrey, Buckinghamshire, Oxfordshire. These are some of the UK's most consistently expensive housing markets. But notice something important. The differences aren't as extreme as people often imagine. Many counties cluster surprisingly closer together. The real outlier isn't Surrey or Oxfordshire, it's London. Its average property price sits on an entirely different level. And that's why national average house prices can sometimes paint a misleading picture. London alone has an enormous influence on the UK-wide statistics. Average prices are interesting, but this graph answers a much bigger question. Where's the money? This isn't showing average prices, it's showing the total value of property transactions. And once again, Greater London completely dominates. Hundreds of billions of pounds change hands. No other county comes remotely close. Surrey appears again as one of the UK's largest property markets. Essex, Kent, Hampshire, Hertfordshire all contribute substantial amounts, not necessarily because they're the most expensive, but because they combine strong prices with a large number of transactions. And that's an important distinction. High prices don't automatically create a large market. Large markets are created by both value and volume. So what does this all tell us? First, the UK's housing market is far more concentrated than many people realise. And second, average prices only tell one part of the story. Sales volume matter just as much. And finally, when you combine both together, Greater London becomes a market unlike anywhere else in the country. It's not simply the most expensive, and that's why it has such an enormous influence on national housing statistics. The next time you hear someone talk about the UK housing market, remember there is not one market, there are many, and some are vastly bigger than others. If you enjoy exploring the UK property market through real transaction data rather than headlines or opinions, then please subscribe to the channel. Every week we analyse millions of UK property sales to uncover patterns that most reports would never show. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.